Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today is a special one called the Holiday Lights Hop featuring Easy Lights from Pearblossom Press. We have quite an amazing list of participants, so you're going to want to hop along. My blog will be linked down below so that you can get all of the details. Now let's get into how easy these lights really are. First, let me share the products that we're going to be using. I have one of the Pearblossom Press One lights. It is one light. They're new. It's amazing. If you were intimidated before, you won't be after this. I'm also going to bring in some Simon Hurley Create stamps. This is the Oh Dear stamp set. I love it, and it just screamed to be lit up. And then I'm going to bring in the Handwritten Christmas by Simon Hurley Create along with some of his inks. Before filming, I had gone ahead and stamped out one of the deer images onto some stark white cardstock using some Blackout ink. So those are both Copic friendly. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the colors up on the screen for you so that you can see what I'm coloring or which colors I'm using to color with. But I'm doing some very basic coloring. I tend to like to start with my lightest colors. I've been coloring for, I don't know, golly, over 10 years now using Copic markers, using alcohol markers, and I have always done it the same. I start with my light and I go on to my dark. I've done it both ways where I've started with dark and gone to light. You just have to find what's comfortable for you and just keep practicing with that. So as you can see, I started with some E23 and came in with some E39. And it always seems like when I put down my darker shade, it just looks like a hot mess until I do a little bit of blending out. Now, not always, but it does seem to be like that sometimes. And in this case, it definitely did. So I'm going to blend that out with my E23. And then I'm going to come in with some R24 for his nose and his scarf. And then I'm going to bring in some R29 just to add a little bit of that shading. And then I will blend that out a little bit, but sometimes I do like the harsh line. In this case, I didn't. All right, then I'll bring in some RV11 for his cheeks and his ears, and then I fussy cut him out. Now we're going to stamp our background. So my background is some more of that stark white cardstock that I have cut down to 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. And I'm going to do some second generation stamping, which is basically what you see me doing here. I love that color, that brand new color called No Diving by Simon Hurley Create, but I didn't want it to be so bright. So I ink up my stamp it down onto some scratch paper, and then stamp what's left on my stamp onto my background. So it gives this nice subtle background, but it still keeps some of that color. Now I want to do some stamping of the snowflakes because there are a few snowflakes in this set. So I've brought in that Breakup blue, and I feel like this is a good combination. I want it to mostly be white in that background, but just with that subtle blue, it does look like there's a slight snowstorm going on in the background, which is great because we need our light to be the star of the show, along with our little reindeer. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to bring in my sentiment, which says it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and I'm just trying to decide exactly where to stamp it. And so I will bring in some Blackout ink that up, and stamp that in that upper left-hand corner. And now I've decided I do want to cut this down just a little bit. So just on the long edges, I'm cutting off about 1/8 inch on each side. So that'll give a nice border on one of those sides. I'll glue my little guy down, and I'm going to try to avoid his nose mostly. But I'm going to glue him down where I think he's going to look good. And then I'm going to take a paper piercer, and we're going to poke that right through his nose, because that's where our light's going to show up. Makes sense? So I poked that through, just want to make sure that's nice and open. And now I need to bring in my card base, because that's how I'll be able to determine where my light's going to go. My card base is, well, I thought I had cut it to 5½ inches by 8½ inches. I think it's a little bigger than that. But I did score it at 4¼ And so I'm going to bring in my paper and realize that it does need to be trimmed down another 1/4 inch on that side. So it was 5¾ I want it to be 5½. So I'll cut down another 1/4 inch off of there. So now it will be an A2 size card. And then I'm going to stick my panel on top of my base and take a pen and just mark through where that hole is for his nose. I can peel off the one light, and Amanda's thought of everything. This also has some sticky back on it. So you don't have to do that now either. So I'm just kind of determining where I want that light to be exactly, or where I want the button to be. And so now I'll take out the little piece that keeps the battery from being on all the time, peel off that release paper on the back, and then position my light right over the dot that I had put. And so now when I press, his little nose lights up. My next step is to bring in an interactive stamp set. I have, this one says press here, and so I'm just making sure I know exactly where to stamp that so that the recipient knows where to stamp. For the inside of my card, I've pulled in that Merry Christmas from the Handwritten Christmas, and I'm going to stamp that right on the inside. I love, love, love that stamp. I say it every time I use it. And now we need some foam tape. So some typical foam tape would be just fine. You could just use like your regular 1-layer foam tape, but you'd need to double it up. However, this stuff is 3 millimeters deep, and this is perfect for these lights. It gives just enough space so that the light isn't on all the time. And it works really, really well. So it keeps your panel from collapsing in. So I'm just going to make sure that I put plenty around, because like I said, I don't want that collapsing in around my light. And then once I'm done with that, I can peel off all of that release paper. But this stuff is great. It also comes in a thinner size. This is the 12 millimeter. There's also a 5 millimeter, but it is 3 millimeters deep. So like I said, it is perfect for these and shakers. And then I can just stick my panel down right on top of that, and it works perfectly. I love this so much. So like I said, I'm going to have my blog linked down below so that you can go and check out all the details and go do some more hopping. But I also have a little bonus. I went ahead and made this into a light up ornament as well. I love it. I can't wait to give this to someone so they can put that on their tree. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit that like button and definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.